Good evening or morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to Wacky Weekend Lite, the Arty show without Arty. Hopefully, that will be changing back to Arty show soon. But until then, I'm here to bore you and chase away cats. Hey, welcome in, Ian from Lehigh River Subdivision. We've got quite a few people I saw already popping in. We got Hot Dog Pilot Andy is here, Randall Ellison, Dirk from Southern Cross Rail System. We've got Clintonville, and Clintonville, I have forgotten your first name. I'm really bad. I'm sorry about that. We got Attila Varga, checking out kangaroos. He's known. And Delmarva, welcome in Delmarva. Andy81E, great to have you here. I think I said hi to Ian already. That's good. Welcome in. It's hard to, when Arty does this show, he's always does a great job. He usually has something he's working on his layout or somebody wants to show. And I don't work on my layout that often. When I do, I don't do it live or on camera. So I always got to come up with a topic, or at least a topic to get us started and do it, because I don't want this to be just a repeat of my Friday live stream where I run trains and talk about whatever. So one topic I want to talk about today involves something many of you who follow my channel know. I've shown it a couple of times. I posted a video, but this particular locomotive. This was the Night Jet, the Austrian Night Jet. It's a gorgeous locomotive, but it has been sadly a week of hell. It arrived last week, Monday, and it has just been a major disappointment, a heartbreaker, if I want to put it that way, which I do. Hey, K-Guns. Eric's at his friends for game night. That's cool. I miss game nights. But I'll show this too if you hadn't been here before. But this is one of the prettiest, if not the prettiest locomotive. Well, I'll go right on a limb and say this is the prettiest locomotive I've ever bought. It is gorgeous. I know I've reviewed that. But that's the topic tonight. And I'll post a link in a second if people can come up on stream. But talk about it in the chat line here. Share with me, to commiserate so I don't feel alone, a story of the locomotive or some other hobby related bit, a locomotive or a piece of train hobby related bit that broke your heart, that you wanted it, you finally got it, and from the moment you got it, it was a major disappointment. This goes to the top of the list. This is without a doubt the number one heartbreak, disappointment in my modeling history, which only goes back to 2015. But it's the first one where I would say it really, really disappointed me, where it was just, it's so bad. There it is. It has been so disappointing. The motor was making a bad sound from the minute I put it on the track to run it in. The third rail pickup shoe was bumping into some of the nubs on my three rail track. And then the motor died. It hit a point, the ski, as I call it. Technically, they call it a pickup shoe, but to me, it looks like a ski, and a lot of us call it a ski. Hit that, and the motor died from there. And it's been an aggravation. You got a model, but she left when you asked her to do the housework. So I'll pop this in. People can come up, but yeah, obviously everybody can answer that question in one line. But if folks are so inclined to give us sort of a background story. My favorite Loco is the filthiest. I love dirty, filthy, end of life Locos. Well, the problem is this one is at the start of life, brand new, off the shelf, and died there. So let me see what all we got there. Ein Loco Stinker. Yeah, indeed. Let me see. Dirk says, my Hornby APT power card needs some rewiring. The set cost you about, yeah, those were expensive. The APTs were expensive. And you can't run it without it overheating badly, enough to melt through the shell. So that's where Roco got their ideas of making product that melts. Let's see. Clintonville says Hornby River Aussie 3-truck Heisler 2024 version, DCC ready but so loud. Wouldn't have worked. The drivetrain gear nose was like rocks in a washing machine. Yeah, that's how my motor was sounding. Actually, mine sounded more like, hey, there's Dave from Scott Rails. Welcome in. Mark from Xantech just came in the basement. Yeah, I'm sending it back. And Andy, on my live stream yesterday, I bought its replacement thanks to, I think it was Clintonville. I'm so, it was quite an emotional change. Xantech just dropped out. So we'll try. Hey, Jake from Haunted Rails. So, yeah, it's going back. I had to, with Lipa, you have to contact them and say, I want to send this back because they'll give you a return address sticker. But I'm going to send it back and just I want either my cash back or there's something else I want, and I will apply that money to something else. Yep, your fault. Well, you guys saw it. Joyce was actually very cool with it. I think she was feeling how miserable I've been the last 3 days fighting with that Loco. And so she was like, yeah, okay, you got a replacement. Cool. The only thing she did ask off camera is like, you're getting your money back on the other one, right? Yeah. Anyhow, I got Randall in the basement. I'll bring him up. Xantech was there but disappeared. So maybe the giant rats in our basement ate him.
Hey, Anthony.
Hey, Randall, you're up on screen now. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm up and down. Right now, I guess I'm okay. I'm expecting to have a special guest visitor in a few minutes, but we'll see if it happens. So, I mean, we've all got those stories. I'm just trying to catch in the chat.
Yeah, I guess probably the one engine I had, I don't know if I'd call it like a disappointment or anything, but I had some frustrations with it. That was the Conrail C39-8 I ordered from Scale Trains. Because when I first got it, it had pickup issues, so the Norfolk Southern engine. I sent both of them back, got them back the first time, put them on the track. The NS engine ran great. The Conrail engine smoked the decoder off the bat when I stuck it on the track. And so I contacted Scale Trains again, sent it back to him, and they redid the whole drive line, put a new decoder in it, and knock on wood, it's ran great ever since. So,
all right. Well, looks like Mark has made it back. He's been up and out of the basement. He's fighting those giant rats. So I'm going to bring him up. Hey, Mark, you are on screen.
Hello, Anthony. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I want to get to this comment by Andy81E who says model trains are so expensive. You want them 100% perfect without problems, damage whatsoever. But your last two Roco DCC Vectron Locos are awful runners. Yeah, and I'm hearing more and more complaints about Roco all of a sudden, where I love Roco. There are some people, I've got one Roco that is not a great runner, but it's a fine locomotive. Otherwise, it's just, it's a freight hauler, but it doesn't like to pull the long freight train up the incline. Yeah, and for the money, especially those of us who do Continental, the Miraklin, Roco, Piko stuff, for the price they do charge, which is more than the UK models tend to be, although Acura Scale with their locomotives is definitely on the same price line, I think. Yeah, you want them to be right. You don't, you want to assume that quality control checked this and tested it and made sure it works. And unfortunately, Jägendorfer collection, I am 0 for 2. I mean, I'm not going to go 0 for 3. And Miraklin, I've never had a Miraklin disappoint me out of the box. So what is your grip? Is Jake taking off, or is he just saying good evening to everybody?
I think Jake's leaving.
All right. Well, Jake, thanks for. Hey, Monsville's there from New Zealand. Good afternoon. Off to sleep. You got early hospital. Okay. Well, hopefully everything will be okay. So, Mark, why don't you share with us your greatest
Right. Gripes. Doppel Voyager. This one here. Looks great. However, no interiors in the cabins. The motor unit takes up the entire bloody coach of the drive unit, and within 2 hours of running it, the LEDs at each end failed. So I sent it back to get the LEDs fixed up. They fixed them, put them on the track, and within half an hour, the other end failed. So this one now has no LEDs. This one, Graham Farish Voyager, looks nice, a little bit more than the Dapol. Motor unit takes the entire end car, but the wheel sets were so draggy, it wouldn't even pull that. It's full, so sent it back, got rid of it. This is the second one I've had. It's a little bit better, not perfect. Dapol 68s. Great runners, lousy electronics. I have a very bad habit of blowing the LEDs up. Revolution 50. About the Revolution 59. It's been a bag of nails. Great customer service off Revolution trains, but the 59 has not been a great runner. So I've got I did have a 66 on pre-order with them. I've cancelled the pre-order and gone for a Dapol project. Dapol 66 logo.
Okay.
So I've changed that. Yeah. Dapol 86s, very nice runner compared to the Lima Class 86 that I've got, which is a little bit out of proportion. Could do with being a bit heavier. Yeah, that's my main gripe with those. Okay. So far, these have been okay. So far.
Things about Dapol and scale, so.
Yeah, they're just a little bit too delicate.
So what you're saying is you've had a few heartbreaks.
Yeah, but these ones, I'll switch the lights off manually inside the unit, and they seem to be okay. It's just the newer ones that seem to be troublesome, let's say. Okay. This one here has been as reliable as a Swiss watch. This one here is second hand, so it wasn't expected to be brilliant. It has had issues. It has been back to Bachmann's a couple of times.
Well, I think when we talk about, biggest heartbreaks or disappointments, obviously when you buy secondhand, when you buy used, they could say runs great, and maybe it does, but you never know what you're going to get when you buy secondhand, even if they say it runs well. And I've been lucky. I have not been disappointed
this
by
08 little switcher unit. That's second hand. Runs nicely. Sounds like a cat having a fight in an alleyway. Just make sure my 68 is turned off.
Well, I mean, in the short time I've been in the hobby, I would say I've had 3 disappointments, but this newest one is by far the oldest. I bought a Piko Hercules, which is a class 223 for Alex, and that was just awful. That never ran well, and I exchanged it and got a new, an upgraded one, which was better. And then I had and then the Beethoven here that I've been showing, my Beethoven Loco, which is also Jaeger for
That is nice.
that never ran beautifully. You got the color side, and the nice thing is, if you want to freak people out, is you run this train because the locomotive is always looking at you as it goes around. It's always looking at you. It runs okay, not great, but it was a bit of a disappointment for the money I paid for it. And then
on the other hand,
I
Anthony,
bought a Piko class 146 from that was a Metronome, which is a German company, and that one was not a good runner. And so I've had bad luck when I buy Piko hobby level locomotives, but I bought that early on, and I blew the decoder in the Piko 146 Metronome, and I sold it with a bunch of cheap Metronome cars because Miraklin released the Metronome set, which I bought and runs beautifully. And so I got rid of the Piko cheap set I had. So we are talking, if you just come in, we're asking, and I got to go back and check the chat so everybody can get in. Like Christopher, you recently had a major heartbreak with from a favorite company of yours, Kato, really let you down. But we're talking about your biggest, the one locomotive that broke your heart, that you wanted this one, you got it, and it just been a heartache from the day you got it. That's what we're talking. And then we'll pick up what's going on. Attila's had a few.
On the other side, Ant, this is a Farish 66, and it has been pretty reliable. I had issues of it jumping the tracks because the sandpipes would foul on things. So a quick snip on the sanding pipes soon cured that. And it's been, really has been reliable.
Yeah, Attila, I didn't leave a cheap Piko railjet on Arty's layout. I never had a cheap Piko railjet. Well, I lied. I had a Piko railjet, which was a Piko railjet hobby level locomotive that a guy in California converted to 3-rail. It was a 2-rail DC version, and he converted it to 3-rail, and it ran fine. And then I had a bunch of Piko railjet cars, which were not the right type of car. They were just the standard cars that Piko put on. And I bought a new railjet, so I sent those off to my friend Dino in the UK, who is running Miraklin. So I gave him my old Czech railjet.
That also 3-rail? I'll take it that's also 3-rail as well, Ant.
Everything I do is 3-rail. Yeah, Dino is doing Miraklin 3-rail. I mean, his love is to 00 British rails, but he did decide he wanted to try some Continental, so he's building 2 layouts: one 00 British, and then the other one he's got several 3-rail trains that I gave him. Plus, he's bought a couple of things of his own. So, what's up, Randall? You got it in hand?
Well, no, I don't have the engine in hand, but I was going to show you this. When I was at Memphis the other day, I got me a Miraklin catalog.
Oh my!
So, and just a good measure, I got the Tricks one too.
Oh, there you go, Tricks.
They had them for free, so I couldn't resist it.
Yeah, they.
That's always a good price. Free is always good.
To quote Foghorn Leghorn, that's the way I like them. Totally free.
That's the way I like them. Totally free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I just,
but because somebody like Monsville, who's in the chat here, they like to take that challenge of here is a dead soldier and resurrect it. They do a lot of great videos about bringing, Frankensteining these
I'll be right back.
these old double O locomotives and bringing them back to like Triangles and Hornby double O's and so forth. Yeah, and it's fun to watch. Takes me back to when I used to buy various toys and fix them up and then sell them or resell them or trade them off or something. Well, it depends on the catalog. Yeah, Miracle usually gives out their catalog for free. I just download it and have it as a PDF file. But usually in one of my first orders, either Miracle or Lippo will send me the 2025 catalog or the yearly catalog. But then they have the big one, which is big. Let me see. I've got where's it? Where's the most recent one? Yeah, I don't have the 24-25 one. I don't think. I've got every year up to that, but this is their full release catalog. So this is 2023, 2024, but it's everything that they're manufacturing in that time period and releasing. And this is expensive. I mean, printing and paper are expensive anymore. And so I don't have a problem with them charging $10 to get this.
Like
that's Conrail, Randy.
This was the one I was talking about earlier that I said kind of disappointed me. Well, I don't know if I'd say disappointed, but give me the most trouble. This is the Conrail Quality C39-8. Like I said, when I first got this engine, it had pickup issues, so did the NS engine. I called Scale Trains, told them what was going on. They sent me a label. I sent it back to them. Probably about a couple weeks later, I got them back. The NS engine ran great, but I shouldn't say the second, but just not long after I set this one on the track, it blew the decoder in it. So I had to call Scale Trains back and tell them what happened, and they sent me another label. I sent it back. They fixed it.
Hi, Mike.
The unfortunate part was it came back while I was gone on a bar out, and it came a huge rainstorm the night before I came back.
Ooh.
So the box was absolutely soaked. But I pulled the thing out. I was expecting the thing to just be a total loss, but I put it on the track and it ran great. So so far this thing's ran great ever since. So, but yeah, I'd say this is the one.
As long as it was dried out thoroughly or didn't get wet.
Yeah, it didn't get wet in the box, but the box was just absolutely soaked. The box was shot.
Yeah, it should be all right.
Well, I ran this thing at both the October display. Well, I ran at the October display and it ran great. The thing ran for like 4 hours. So,
so you got it working now. Yeah.
These wagons here, Ant. These are Dapol spine link wagons. I've had to put tyre weights in the containers over where the axles are and fit articulated magnetic couplings on the NEM pockets. The NEM pockets are quite articulated. I've got like centering springs, and they're quite stiff. Without the containers on, trying to get them to do a lap around the corner without coming off the tracks, nigh on impossible. They'll derail there. They'll derail there. They'll derail there. 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 There, there, even here on this curve.
I see a pattern, Mark.
Yeah. The moment I put one of these sticky back weights, wherever the hell they are, down here somewhere. The moment I put one of those.
Hey, welcome in, Jeff.
Thanks,
above each axle seems to have killed the problem. If you were made out of die-cast metal, I wouldn't have half the problem. They wouldn't have the problem that they have because they're all plastic. They are light. They are lighter than a book of true things ever said by a politician. which is not good. However, on the Mark IIIs that I've got have been generally reliable.
Hey, Jamarbo, to answer your question, I don't know if you're talking to, if you mean Mark here, who's talking about his cars derailing. That's what he's saying, that he had to add weight over the axles to keep the Zen scale stuff. I don't have a derailing problem. The couple of times I have derailing problems, it is usually something related to the coupler was miscoupled, or the bogey was messed up, as opposed to it being a weight issue. Most of my stuff, the chassis and that, are metal, and I do not have a major derailing problem. Every now and then, like I've got an Italian car that's got a bad bogey, and anytime I run it, it always derails. But it's not the weight; there's something that when the bogey goes around curves, and I'm talking radius 4 and radius 5 curves, it's catching on something. And I've tried to shave it down, sand it down. I've cut some bits of the shell out, and whatever it is, it's still catching. And so it locks up and doesn't curve. It just tries to keep going straight while it's going around. The bogey's fine, or I'm sorry, the coupler's fine, but the kinematics and the coupler are fine. But there's something that just catches, and so it does not turn enough. So yeah, I don't really have, of all the problems I will have, like anybody has problems where, like on my live streams, for example, my live stream yesterday was perfect. We did not have a problem. The week before, the locomotive started acting up right at the start, but then everything was fine.
Yeah, I mean, these here are our nuclear flask wagons. Very nice wagons, nice light, roll nice and freely. But they are so finely detailed. I've had to paint the railings yellow just in case you get sacrificed as carpet gods. I've already lost the hand wheels off the bogies. And that's just simply by basic handling.
Right. All right. Jeff asks a question here. What do you do when your car hits the switches and derail? Again, I don't have that problem. I am more likely to have a problem with a locomotive hitting the switches and derailing. And let me go get one of my track, and I'll show you why.
I say, whilst Anthony's sorting that out, when I get a loco hitting train hitting point and derail, I normally check that. These sections here.
But there are there are so many things on a slip, a double slip, a turnout, a switch that can create issues. If any one of those little pieces is, in fact, if any of those little pieces are, in fact, malfunctioning just a little, it can lead to derailing problems. Sorry, Chris, I see you're in the basement. Let me show this, and then I'll bring you up. I don't know how long you've been there. I apologize. I had not looked down there. All right, I'm going to go full screen on this, so you'll have to forgive me. All right, I run 3-rail. So here is the standard right-hand turnout for my Märklin C-Track. Now, if you have never seen Märklin C-Track, this is 3-rail, and the third rail, which is your hot rail, has these nubs. But I don't know how well you can see it, but as you come into the turnout, the nubs get higher. And the reason that is to push the ski up and over so it doesn't catch on the rail. So as it's going over, those nubs get higher to push the ski over the rail so it can change lanes. But some companies, Jägendorfer Collection, make short skis that they put on the back of the axle. So the weight on the back of the axle is being pushed in, and hang on, and pushes the ski into those upraised nubs and can cause a derail or even a jamming. All right, now everybody that's waiting, Christopher, I'm going to go ahead and bring you in, but I need everybody to hold off for a second because we have a very special guest today. This is, so Christopher, hello, how are you?
Greetings, everyone. Hope everyone's well.
Hey, Christopher.
Hello, Kaya.
Yep, hi, Chris.
Did you
Hey,
say?
Hi, Joyce.
Oh, yes, that's right. Your dad's name is Christopher too. That's right. Yeah, this is a different Christopher. This is my friend Christopher. You want to say hi to everybody? I know you can't see everybody right now.
Hi.
Hello, Joyce. Hello, Chris.
Hi.
No, this is Kyan.
This is
Oh, Christopher's in the chat, and he's Christopher, not Chris. His dad's name is Chris, as well. But so anyhow, yeah, this is my grandson. How old are you, Kyan?
4.
4. That's right. And Kyan made his first appearance on YouTube at the age of 7 weeks, and you occasionally show up in my videos. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're seeing this is his thing. He knows the camera's on, but the camera you want to look at. Troublemaker. Yeah, the camera's up there.
That's what kids do.
Hey, if you're gonna keep screaming, I'm gonna have to send you off. Yeah, he goes in phases right now. There are days where he loves the trains, and then he'll go weeks and not be into it, and then he'll say, Oprah, run your trains now. Right now, the biggest thing is he loves, what do you play? Is it Pokemon Minecraft? Do you play Pokemon Minecraft?
Yes.
Yep. And then your other favorite thing is Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
Speaking of Paw Patrol and everything, I saw a Paw Patrol train set somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if he has one yet, but yeah, that would be the best of both worlds for him, Paw Patrol and trains. Because you got Thomas, right? Who's your favorite Thomas train? All of them? Oh, you're like your Oma.
Yeah.
There's no favorites.
Kyan's spending the night with us.
Yeah, this is his first night away from mom and dad. It's not the first night not sleeping in his own bed. He's gone with his parents to hotels and on trips to out of town relatives and such, but this is his first time where he's somewhere and mom and dad aren't for the night. All right, bye-bye. See you later.
See you, Cayenne. And hi, Joyce.
Hi, Randall. All right, come on, then.
Bye-bye. Okay, so yeah, so Christopher, you have your N scale running right now.
I do, yes.
Did
Yes.
I thought I subscribed. I'll double check. Maybe
Those evil people at FedEx have held my package till Monday.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh well.
I'll say, Christopher, I've got a FedEx depot near to where I live, so when I know I've got a FedEx parcel coming, I'll actually ring the depot and say, hold that parcel, don't deliver it, I'll pick it up.
Well, you see, I tried that earlier on, and they said, no, you're going to have to wait till Monday. I'm like, okay, okay, cool.
Can I ask you a quick question, Christopher? What brand is that?
So this is Kato.
Kato,
The,
okay.
The one that's running past the minute is the letdown one.
Oh,
We've
okay.
got an easy truce at the minute.
Yeah. That seems to be how all trains are.
What actually, Christopher, what actually is that?
That is the Series 273 Yakumo. It's a service that was only launched in Japan last year, and the trains literally come out the end of last month, beginning of this month.
Oh, that is pretty. That is sweet. You're probably familiar with I don't know if you can see it, Chris.
Beautiful, beautiful collection of trains.
Can you get a nice closer
Now,
shot
wait,
of that?
this is the one, but this is the one that you're not running the other half because there's actually two halves to that, right, Christopher? And that's
There
the
are,
one
yes,
that's
yes.
working.
If I put the other half on, it starts derailing left, right, centre.
Right, because that was it. He paid some money for this, and there's actually 2 4-car sets that go together, but the other set constantly derails. It has some major issues with it. They also got the paint scheme wrong. So
Yeah. Yeah, it should be far more metallic-y than what they've got it here, a bit lighter. But
all right, just to help everybody out, we have 3 Christophers that we might be referencing here. On screen right now is Christopher, who is from Nuneaton. I said that wrong. Nuneaton in the UK, and he's Christopher. And then Valley's 56XX is Chris. And then Cayenne's father is also Chris.
there's too many of us.
No. You guys haven't hit Andy status yet. There are times on my live stream I have 6 or 7 Andys in there.
Oh, wow.
I could have Warwick Road and, well, there
It's
was
handy to know one.
Andy Dobson, Warwick Road Andy, Hot Dog Pilot Andy, March West Junction, Andy 156 Shortbread, and I know I'm forgetting at least 2 others.
Yeah, he's 156. He's a sprinter guy.
So there's a couple other Andys that come in. So, all right. So yeah, greatest disappointments though. The one train that broke your heart, and
It did.
a lot of you guys kind of mentioned in the street, or maybe you haven't had it yet. Hopefully you won't have the heartbreak that I've had this week. But on the flip side, it happened live on screen. I think everybody saw my giddiness. That somebody pointed me to a Roco version, and I bought it live on stream.
Oh, nice. Yes.
I'll tell you another thing that kind of disappointed me too, Anthony, and I'll even show you here because I got them both here on the tape on the turntable. It's not necessarily that the locomotive was bad; it's the fact that the company that made them have dropped that line. So, well, they're not making locomotives in that line. I'll show you right here, right quick. So I'll turn my camera off, turn my phone down like that. Yeah. Set the camera to
we got two end scalers, engagers. That would be a cool channel for somebody in that
so
scale with the engager. I'm here to engage you in conversation and the joy of end scale. The engager.
So this is what I was talking about. This right here is the Scale Trains operator line of locomotives right here. They were basically a budget-friendly line that had little to no details, and I even put a this technically isn't a rivet counter engine, but it's at rivet counter level. This is from their fantasy scheme line, the hypotypical line, but we'll discuss that later. But that just kind of shows you the difference in level of detail between the two models. This locomotive here is basically your bare bones, a one body style fits all schemes locomotive, but they were meant to be sold at a much cheaper price. And Scale Trains kind of did away with that. And I asked, I remember being on Facebook and asking Drayton. Yeah, I'll kind of show you what we're talking about here. So you see just how little detail there is on this engine, but that's the way they were meant to be made. They were meant to be relatively cheap, much more affordable versus what would be the rivet counter level model, like on this engine here, even though it's a fantasy scheme. But
right, still the detail.
Right, but the detail is all there. It's basically a true BNSF engine, just in a paint scheme that it never wore. But But I asked Drayton about that, what if they were going to ever off again, and his words were that this version with all the detail, the rivet counter line was far outselling this one by a lot. People were buying the rivet counters and not buying these.
Right.
So
Still a nice loco, Randy.
I mean, they're really not. It's good running engine. I mean, sometimes in my mind, less is more. I mean, this engine runs very, very smooth.
That's one of the issues I've found with some of me local, like the Revolution train stuff. They're so detailed, you can't handle them.
Exactly. But there's a look at the trucks on the on this model. Now, this is supposed to represent a C4 model, but that's not how they're supposed to look when they're detailed. They're supposed to look.
I don't trust running a model that's called a C4. I'd expect it to blow up.
Yeah, well, this is what they call the C4s. It's basically an A-1-A truck. So you have your powered axles will be right here and here, and the center axle will be dead. There'll be no traction motor on it.
Okay.
And it's got these cylinders that you see right here. Now, on the real ones, these cylinders will activate when the locomotive starts on a pull. And what it'll do, it'll actually pull this center axle up off. It won't leave the rails, but it'll pull the axle up enough to put all the weight on the driving axles.
Now that's clever.
To make it pull. Yeah, and it's also got a variable traction control system that monitors each individual axle and will either add or cut power to that axle depending on the situation. But
Randall.
Yeah.
Being a bit that loco there, being a bit rivet countery, it's an A1A, A1A, just like this Class 31. Now, I don't know if you can actually see it on my tab. Let me find something to point with.
Yeah, I'd see a little slot there in the axle.
You can probably see.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
It what?
Yeah, I see it now, Xantec.
Yeah, you'll see a hump there for the gear.
Yep.
A hump for the gear there, but it's completely flat here because model is also an A1A, A1A.
Yeah.
On that model that you've got there, is it actually an A1A model?
No.
Is it actually
unlike the actual locomotive, it has all of its axles powered. In fact, the Tier 4 Gevos are actually the strongest pulling engines I've owned to date. I've got a Kansas City Southern one that can drop 60. If you can drop 60 cars behind it, and it'll pull.
Bloody hell. Well, get this.
There is video of it doing it. So
this is a Class 66. You may have seen them in the States. I'm not sure if you have them or not over there.
I've seen them. I've even looked at some on eBay. Models like that.
In the United States.
It's again.
There's 11 Class 66s in the United States. Oh, frozen up.
I think you froze there, Mark.
Xantec froze.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, I asked Drayton about making these, and he said the rivet counters were far outselling the operators. He said roughly they weren't selling, was why they quit making them. Now, they still make rolling stock in the operator series. Those have still got strong enough sales that they're keeping them and even expanding them to a little bit.
I don't know if the chat wants to comment on that, but I think when it comes to locomotives, we're more likely to be pickier about detail and how it looks, whereas we're more forgiving for especially freight versus passenger, where it looks enough like what I want it to. It goes on. It doesn't have to have all the details. Obviously, when they do have all the details, because you've done a few videos on boxcars and hoppers showing where they, and the nice thing is you also, Randall's, you do comparisons where you say, okay, here is a lower budget version and here's the higher, and then you can see the difference. But I want to know the difference. The two locals are there. Your basic one, I would not know that's missing details because I'm not familiar with the loco.
And that's the thing. Even when I was at the Christmas display and running this engine and this one, most of the people there couldn't even tell the difference between the two. You would just say, "Hey, this one's cheaper than this one because this one has more detail than this one." So and
Well,
better sound decoder.
where's Canadian
license.
Railroad existed? You mentioned something about the hating the Canadian orange. This is actually the wrong colour, but the actual real thing is also the should be that
I mean
colour. But
yeah,
these are
that's
the
your
real
choice,
thing.
Clintonville. I mean, I've not had any what you'd say real issues besides with the Conrail engine, but even that's been resolved with scale trains. So some people have had far worse luck with them than others, but that's true of any manufacturer. I know there's a lot of people out there that say they'll never buy from Athearn again. I've heard people
Right.
say they'll never buy from Atlas again because they don't like. So
I,
I mean,
I've run into that when I first got into trains, and I was hanging out all on the German sites because Märklin was German, and that's where I found all the. And you'd have a lot of guys that were like, "I will never buy Märklin again. Märklin quality went down in the '90s and never came back up." And other people would argue back and say, "Hey, no, they're back to quality." My opinion is, I have some of the pre '90 stuff, and I have post 2012 reorganization, and I have seen, and just in what limited experience I've seen, where there probably was a drop off in quality beginning in the late '90s through the 2000s when the company was struggling financially. But since the Simba Dickey Corporation bought them out, and the head of Simba Dickey's son, Florian Schaefer, he was put specifically in charge. He turned Märklin around. They've had like 13 straight years in the black. In other words, turning a profit after 20 some years of being in the red. Since he took over, now he hasn't been in charge for 2 years because his dad retired as chairman of the board of Simba Dickey, and he got moved up to take his dad's place on the board. But yeah, since he took over Märklin, he made it his goal to get Märklin back as top dog, and I think he has. I mean, I will say Roco, other than Andy 81E and some other people are talking about some of the newer models having some issues, but I think I have yet to be disappointed by a Märklin. I've had a small disappointment with a Roco, just small disappointments where it's fine, it didn't break down. The Jägendorfer one that I just showed earlier today, that's the one that broke my heart. That one has just had me so mad. I am just so livid about it. Which is why I was asking you guys, did you ever have that one that really just you saved up for it, you bought it, and it was just from the minute you start running it, you go, this is probably why I held off buying it for so long, because something in my brain was saying it was going to be bad. It was a gorgeous, it's, stylistically, it's beautiful because there's a German company, Brawa. Brawa makes highly detailed and excellent machinery. They're kind of expensive, but they are high quality inside and out. But the thing is, they do so much fine detail. You have to learn where to grab it, because you grab it with your fingers, or you just go to grab it, and you can break something off, and not that it's put on so weakly. It's just a small detail. And of course, when we grab a weighty loco, we're going to grab hard, and your finger slides and you snap something.
Yep.
But so Brava is something, if I have a Brava locomotive, that's something that never going to, my 4-year-old grandson isn't going to get that Brava. But I will let him pick up my Märklin Class 101 or my Brava Class 245, because there's no details on it. It's a big diesel tank, and it doesn't have pantographs and little electrical blah blah blah. So I will let him pick these up and help me put them on the layout if he's here and I'm moving trains around. I'll let him pick them up, because if you tell the kid no, they just start going, well, I'm not allowed to touch it, and they'll lose interest. So I want him to feel like there are things he can touch. But yeah, that's some of the.
And just kind of piggyback off that, Anthony. Had I had this channel 12, 13 years ago, or let's see, I created this channel created my channel in 2019. So if I had the channel, say back in 2009, let's say that, I would have probably sat there then and said I would never buy another Athearn engine again because I had so many issues with the ready to roll locomotives, where they would just have little weird gremlins and stuff that would pop up on them. And the early sound equipped engines that were equipped with the MRC decoders, they sounded pretty good, but they didn't run all that great. But in 2011, they came out with the SD45-2, and this was right when they switched to Tsunami soundtracks, or right when they switched to soundtracks. I mean, I figured I'll give them another shot, see what it is, and yeah, I got back in. I was like, hey, this isn't too bad. They got pretty good running engines now.
Well, I'll
So
give
they,
any company a second chance. I'll give
yeah,
any a second chance. But if I get burned twice, that it's hard for me to go to a third.
yeah. But that was right after I got the Kansas City Southern Tunnel motors when I was like, you know what, maybe I need to find something else to run. But I'm glad I gave Athearn a second chance because their locomotives run really, really good now.
And Christopher, don't let us overtalk you. If you got something you want to chime in and throw out at us, there's a couple of us that are big talkers.
I was only going to say, we've talked about trains that disappointed us. I'm just going to have one at the other end of the scale now, especially for you and everyone watching. It should be coming round any time now. There he goes. Yeah, it should be coming on the screen there.
Aha! Oh, look at that.
Oh, not
Isn't
that
that
loud,
pretty?
you can see the.
And night fell quickly. Because I do want to touch on this comment from Clintonville, because that's another thing that can affect you with trains. Not that it leads to heartbreak, but it can. Is he says his issue was with the people working when you have problems. He was trying to get some information, and the people are like, well, we got that information, but we're not going to tell you. That's what he's writing here. And yeah, sometimes it's the customer service that throws you off. And some companies can have really bad customer service, and other companies, I can't think of the name, but there's I don't want to misquote, but I forget if it's Rapido UK or like the Cura scale. Well, where they early on released some models that had lots of problems, but they were so quick about, hey, send it back, we'll fix it, blah, blah, blah. They were so willing to work with the customers to make sure, like, even when we released a dud, people were like, well, that loco sucked, but the company was really good about it.
Yeah.
Rapido, when they first started out, at least as far as making stuff for the American and Canadian markets, they often caught a lot of flack for not having good locomotives. But even they have corrected a lot of their issues. Now their locomotives are very good. In fact, I've had less issues with the Rapido than even the scale trains. I think the only issue I had with the Rapido locomotive is actually the one I reviewed not too long ago, the C30-7. They had one of the XML steps fall off of it, and I had to glue it back in place. But that's small potatoes. So,
Christopher, what train is this?
This is the Twilight Express Mizukaze.
Is that a D51 at the front of it, Christopher?
That one. That's SO Yamaguchi. Yes, that's the D51. That's D51 200, based at the Kyoto Railway Museum in real life.
Oh, nice.
That was my first introduction to Japanese engage and sold me on it. Yeah, the Twilight Express is basically a hotel on rails, a land cruise they call it. But this is the Tomix one, and the only thing I was going to say about the Tomix one was when initially released, it was actually cheaper than the Kato one. I
I remember that. I remember when you
Well,
got
I've got the. Well, it's now currently a non-runner. I've found that the Tomic stuff doesn't seem to be quite so mechanically durable as the Kato stuff.
Well, you see, I was going to sort of come on to that. This is a smoother runner, a quieter runner than the Kato one, and also all those lights you see in it come with it as standard. The Kato one didn't come with a single internal light.
That's right. The Kato
Look,
one,
look at
you
the
paid
table
extra
lamps.
to get the lights.
Yeah, this has got. They've recreated the carpets in between the seats. You can see it through the observation windows and looking down in person. There's even a vase of flowers on top of the piano.
What?
Yeah, I kid you not. Under seat lighting and all sorts. So yeah, it's one of those cases where I thought it was the cheap option. When I thought, okay, it's going to be like the Hornby Railroad sort of stuff as opposed to the fine Kato one. But no, actually, it turns out the comic one was better. It is better.
I'll tell you what, Christopher. What I've also got is because although mainly my layout is set in Scotland, I have got. You know.
Cassiopeia.
Yes,
I
I've
have
got.
that one too.
Hang on a second, Mark. Hey, Christopher, if you got a chance, why don't you post a link to the video if you still got it up on your channel, where you got that and reviewed that? Because
This one, yes.
you were talking about it. You were talking about where it's even got the little flower pots and everything inside on the little, the little details inside are ridiculously cool.
Yeah, I'll say, Christopher, I've actually got sets A and B, 101608 and 101609 for the Cassiopeia Sleeper. And I've also got the EF 510 that pulls it as well.
I've got that set. I've got both those sets, A and B. I've got the 81 and I've got the 510. Because they did do a special 81 as well for it. Which I believe some school children got to design the paint scheme on, which explains it.
So
I'll get it
let me get to some of the comments in the room here because I'm way behind. So Andy81E says, wasn't it the recent Flying Scotsman? Yes, the American Flying Scotsman got the big criticism of it was that they got the wrong shade of green. And the problem is American doesn't do the gloss finish that the Flying Scotsman actually has. They don't do that color and finish, so they went with the closest matte finish they had. Very disappointing. Now, on the flip side, the UK rivet counters were screaming that the smokestack was too tall. And it's like, it was, yes, it technically is too tall, but like a millimeter or two too tall. It really wasn't worth the backlash, but it really came out that a lot of UK guys were kind of going, how dare a Continental company try to make our classic locomotive, and we're going to point every single air out just to stick it to the Continentals,
Yeah.
All right, what have you got there, Christopher?
This is just to say this is just the EF81 that pulls the Cassiopeia as well. It's the one.
Oh, that is an absolute beauty.
I believe the paint scheme was designed by a competition with school children that's got to design the scheme.
That's Kato. I bet that runs like a Swiss watch.
Oh, it does, yeah. Go on then, I'll get the Cassiopeia going the other way. We'll start with the E51 for a minute.
Yeah, it's really bad if you get the actual locomotive the wrong color.
Yeah, I've also got this one as well. I use on my Cassiopeia.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I've got in the other box. Yeah.
Dirk, I will say that I rarely watch YouTube reviews unless it's a friend of mine doing it. Like if Randall does a review or Christopher does a review of a new model, and usually they're not reviewing it to point out the flaws. They're reviewing it like when I do my first impression videos. Hey, I just got this train. Doesn't it look cool? And they point out the positives. And so this was the first time my video earlier this week was the first time I had to end it on a negative where like it died. It's a piece of crap. That's my first impression.
How's about Anthony? I just got me Voyager back from Dapol. Explained to her I've been serviced and been fixed. I put it on the track, and the lights failed during my one-take review.
Yep, I saw that. Yeah, it's
Lying on camera.
Probably the most.
Christopher, I'm planning on getting another one of these in the blue livery, or maybe do the red livery. Well, if I get the red one, it's got to be done in DB Shanker colours. If I get the blue one, it's got to be done in BR large logo.
Oh yes. Well, I have the red one, and also do have the blue one.
all right. Good night, Andy Hot Dog Pilot.
See Hot Dog Pilot Andy, and I think
Something along the lines of.
There was one other comment. I
yes.
think Andy 81E. It's going back. That's the problem. Guys get sidetracked and start doing other things, and we get behind on the chat. We were talking about customer service, and Andy 81E here says customer service pretty much has to be spot on these days, as they know it'll be all over YouTube, good or bad. I wish that were true. There's a lot of companies, both shops and model makers, whose customer service is still weak at best. And even if
I've had good service off.
If you go and talk about their customer service, they'll put strikes on and they'll put content claims against your channel. I know in the UK, because there's a lot of channels with the name, but Iron Horse Railways or whatever in the UK, not to be confused with the American Iron Horse, he had a company come after him because he talked about customer service being poor from them. And they went after him big time for knocking their product and for knocking their customer service. But there are companies that I have dealt with, model making companies as well as shops. I mean, Renaud's is an okay shop. Their customer service isn't rude or anything, but their customer service, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, we've got 3 in stock. Oh, I'm sorry, it's back ordered.
Sounds like awful.
Yeah, we can get that for you a year later. No,
Customer service wise, I had a 108. Brought it pre-owned, and my son accidentally cracked the chassis trying to get the body off. So at the time, I didn't quite know how the body came off. So I sent it back. It's been pre-owned. Here's what's wrong with it. It's a non-runner. It's pre-owned. It's a non-runner. Special situation. Unfortunately, I appear to have cracked the chassis. The chassis will replace it. This is Batman. They replaced the chassis for free. Even though I told them it was going to be that cost repair. They credit where credit's due. They went the extra mile. I've not had any issues with Batman customer service at all.
All right, good night.
If I send an item to Batman's, it's going to come back and it's going to work fine.
I actually did a little bit of land.
Hey, Tammy and Ray.
Yeah, I just laid some dirt down on this side of my layout, the Greenland station. I was just adding more ground cover before, because I have to go buy a static grass applicator and then all kinds of static grass. I've got easily $1,000 worth of stuff I got to buy between scenery, static grass applicator, stuff I want to put on the platforms, because it's like in Germany, every station has these four-sided, it's either a four-sided can or it's a little garbage rectangular tin that has 4 pockets for different types of garbage. And nobody, I can't find anything on Thingiverse where they make them, and then I don't want to have to paint them. But none of the model making companies, Fowler, Keebury, Volmer, Walters, any of that, make like, hey, here's 30 of those garbage cans or recycling cans for, here's 30 of them for $15 or something like that, which I think would be a fair price. They don't make them. No, you got to buy their platform sets where you get 4, and the platform sets are $30 each, and that's at least 4 times 5 platforms. That's $200 just for that. And then I got to get an elevator on each of the platforms. That's $25-$30 each. And I made my own elevator for the Delmar station, but that was before my hands started going bad. So bad. My hands were already bad, but they've just got so much work. I can't scratch build anymore. I cannot scratch build. The minute I get a little razor knife and a piece of plastic in my hands are all over the place. Even micro soldering is getting almost impossible to do. I've actually been able to convert a lot of these locos, putting in decoders and taking out the wiring, but it's getting harder and harder to do with the shapes in my hand.
I'll say, Christopher, this EF210 here, got a nice custom respray by Mersig.
Oh yes, yeah. So you're saying about the EF510 in the blue livery?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's Christopher. Christopher just posted his the video where he reviews that train. It is so cool.
There's
Is
the
that the blue with
BE51.
that's the blue with the star, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a Hocketsai sleeper special
Let me
livery. So I've got 2 of these because it tends to be 2 of these that pulls it when it goes out the electrified zone, and then it's just the 1.510 to pull it. Otherwise, try and get it where you can get colour but not under too much glare. But
That is nice.
yes.
Yes, and by the way, Canadian Locomotive Logistics, he has a YouTube channel, obviously, and he has a web thing set up where you can actually drive trains on his layout, and he's testing
cool.
different control systems. So if you like to try to drive trains remotely, go to his site, get the information, and drive some trains on his layout, because he's trying to beta test a lot of this.
That sounds like fun. Also, as well, I spoke to Scoonies in Scotland because I want some 5 random modern cars. Oxford sent him 5 cars. I've got 4 are going to be coming with this order, but one of them came completely missing its axle.
That's less than optimal.
And hello,
So I did this. So I did. I'll still have it, obviously, because I can use it. So I did that to it. Removed the front axle, painted it so like a rusty colour, blacked out the windows, punched the windscreen through with a screwdriver.
You basically
I have a burnt out Mini. And naturally, wherever there's a crime, you should have the Rozzers turning up to have a look at it. Eventually, when they can be asked to do it. But I think some of the older stuff, which is less detailed, like the low-end Bachmann range, the Hornby Railroad range, are probably a little bit more reliable because there's less on them to be damaged. You know, if you want to get people, particularly if you're going to be carting stuff around to exhibitions, you don't really want to be carting around a locomotive which bits will fall off when somebody looks at it.
Right.
Without even laying a finger on it.
Right. And was it Arty or somebody else mentioned that even earlier in the stream that, you get some of these models, they're beautiful to show off, but you don't want to take them or have them out somewhere where somebody's going to touch it, or you got to put it away, take it on. Because, if you're part of a club and your club's having a show or an exhibition, first of all, there's a lot of, at least the club I was a member of, there's a lot of fighting for whose trains are running when and who's controlling what and all of that. Don't you dare run my trains and some. And I've seen this with the one club I belong to, where guys got into grabbing fights. If somebody's putting his trains on and somebody else is like, hey, no. And he's grabbing the other guy's trains to put them off. And then the other guy, don't you touch my trains, And it goes back and forth. And you have that. And so, yeah, you don't want to be one of your delicate, nicely detailed locos for that. But at the same time, you want a train that looks good at an exhibition.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of having the steps as a separately fitted part, especially in N-gauge, is problematical. Surely they can build it like integral with the frame when they cast them. Because the dapole steps on my 68s, they're separately fitted.
Hey, Attila, I've been to Australia. Everything down there's unstable, not just the internet.
And Arty will test this. Everything in Australia is there to kill you. If it's got legs, it'll kill you. If it hasn't got legs, it'll definitely kill you.
No, they like to put that out there, but the fact is, if you truly talk to the Aussies, they'll tell you, like even the brown snake, one of the most, like number 2 most poisonous snake in the world, or number 3, is like, it'll leave you alone as long as you don't threaten it. If you see one, just step back. It will just go where it's going. Just don't be in its direction and don't be close to it. Some of the really poisonous spiders, they have warning signs that say, we're here, stay away.
Yeah.
The ones that I don't like are like the huntsman spiders that are not really poisonous, but they're big and they pull themselves into tight little places, and you go to touch them and all of a sudden they're like, surprise, I'm here. And you're just like, tarantula, jumping out. Imagine a tarantula, a ninja tarantula. That's what a huntsman is. They're like, they get really, they got these relatively large bodies and really long legs, but they tuck everything in and they get into the tightest little areas. And then you got videos on YouTube, people go to open their door handle and all of a sudden the legs come out, twing, and you freak.
I've heard stories as well of Aussie truckers going down the road and they've run over a snake. It's got wrapped up in the dualies. It hasn't killed it, but when they get to do the walk around the following day, they got a very dizzy, very angry snake wrapped up between the tyres.
Go and have a coffee, let it cool down.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Christopher. These little LMS twins, they are bloody lovely little locos. A little bit noisy runners, but they aren't bad.
Yeah, I saw someone post that they've got room for the engine light and all that, haven't they? But sorry, lights in the engine room and all that. But yeah, I've burnt my bridge with UK Engage. Good. It's bitten me too many times.
I must admit, Kato are, okay. In terms of build quality, I would say they are like Hornby Railroad. A little bit less detailed, but the flip side is they run and they run and they run and they run. Until that is, you get them fluffed up and you mull all the contacts trying to clean the bloody wheels out, putting them back in. Yeah, I've had.
Very often on mine.
But by the way, Anthony, I don't know if our friend St. Mary's Church is in the chat or if he'll see this on the replay. But when I was down at Paducah, Kentucky, at the train shop there where I sent you the photos of the Markland trains,
Yeah,
I ended up getting this boxcar while I was there. Look what it says on it.
hang on, let me enlarge it.
It may be backwards. I may have to mirror my camera.
No, you are good. It's reading correctly. I just want to. Yeah, it says St. Mary's Railroad.
Yep. I saw it and I was like, that's pretty cool. So I need to take a picture of that and post it on my community tab.
Oh, it'll be seen again, Andy 81E. Probably when you least want to. At a massive black house spider. We are lucky where we live. The only poisonous spider we have is the brown recluse spider. We don't even get black widows in this region. About 100 miles north of us, and then probably again about 100 miles south of us. But that's the only poisonous thing we have here. Now, technically, daddy longlegs are poisonous, but their teeth are fangs are so small they can't break human skin. Yeah, the only poisonous thing we have in this area is the brown recluse spider. Rattlesnakes have been out of this area for 100 years, close to 100 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that would scare the crap out of me, Dirk. That would scare the minute, because if there's one, there's more than one.
What rattlers?
Black widows, and and that's the one that scares me the most in Australia is the Australian cousin of the black widow. What was it called? Attila or anybody else?
It's on the web.
The redback or something like that. Redback spider.
Yes. I'll take the same view with spiders.
Okay, that's right, the redback. Because those like to hide in public toilets.
So
That sounds comforting.
Because isn't that what is it the redback that's nicknamed the dunny spider? Because they like to hang around public porta potties. And so they're nicknamed dunny spiders, I believe. I think I've got the right spider. It's been a year since I was in Australia, so some of that stuff. But yeah, redback is in every outback dunny. Yeah. So yeah, it's nicknamed the dunny spider. And yeah, I don't. You are told. You are told to check the seating area before you park yourself. But that was the thing I learned about it. I learned about it because there's a company that makes porta potties, which is red. What was the name of it? Attila. It's redback dunnies or something like that. And their symbol is they name themselves after the spider that's famous for being in the porta potties. And I'm like, ah. You'll find it in most outside yeah, and ever since you told me that, I learned to hold it and wait till I got into a proper toilet. Although we did stop at that one when we were driving with Arty, when Arty was with us and we were driving to see a couple of things. We stopped at a rest area to get a food place to get gas. And they had an outside toilet. It was a running toilet, but it was outside. And yeah, I checked that thoroughly because it also had a hole in the wall that led to the outside. And I was very nervous sitting on that toilet. I was like, let's get this over quick.
So I take the same view as any spider as the Royal Navy did at the end of the Great War. So things with wings.
John just got back from a train show. Which train show was
Oh, hey,
that?
Papa John Trains.
I think I might remember.
Oh, yeah, I never did finish explaining on the C4 locomotives, on these types of locomotives here, but when they were built, they were supposed to meet or exceed the pulling power of a C-44-9 or an SD-70 or the SD-75Ms that BNSF had. Just talking to the crews on those, they worked a lot better on paper than they do in real life. Every engineer has told me that the C4s are good at two things: spinning out on hills and using lots of sand.
Well, I don't know. From what I understand, C4 is good for blowing things up, but that's different.
Yeah. In fact, well, I mean,
See,
BNSF
every time you
actually,
say a C4 locomotive, I'm thinking dynamite train.
yeah, but BNSF actually, the dispatchers here on the third sub, whenever a train stalls out with these things on them, they've 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 monikered it as the C4 curse. So,
Oh, please.
Somebody
but they
was in a
say
live stream and they said my C4 train blew up, and I said
there's probably a lot of engineers that probably wish they would blow
that
up,
sounds natural.
just not with them on it.
Yeah, run my trains and my C4 locomotive blew up.
The one thing that
Yeah.
the one thing they have told me though that they do like about them is they ride good, especially at high speed. But they said they're helpless when it comes to low speed tractive effort on grades. They are meant to go 70 miles an hour on flat terrain with a Z
I'm
train
hearing little tip tap defeat.
and
Somebody was supposed to
very
do
little
that
hills.
an hour ago. Is probably not going down.
Well,
well.
Christopher, recognise that?
I was just about to say, if you ever want to sell that, let me know.
Oh, no.
And by the way, if anybody hasn't heard, the third sub is back open after the floods. They managed to get the bridge replaced and get all the washouts filled back in.
I'm
And
probably
they,
Christopher, probably going to be really, you're probably going to be a bit envious now.
yeah, they're resuming service back on Thursday.
I've
So
got the Imperial coach as well.
I like that one, Mark. That's a nice looking
Yeah,
coach.
I've got that one.
Yeah, that is Imperial Highness's personal coach.
Yeah. They'll stand in the window facing the platform.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
I've got that one, and I've got the one from the Showa era, or as people will know him, Hirohito. But obviously he was allowed to remain emperor after the war, so...
I think I've seen a E655 set on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
I got mine from a guy called Japan Recommended UK.
And
That's really good.
ironically, just talking about that bridge down there at Mammoth, that Southern Cross they saw in the news. That's not the first time that bridge was destroyed either. They had a massive flood back in 1982 that took it out, and they had to rebuild it then. So this is actually the second bridge in 40 years, 43 years.
Considering the pictures I saw that were shared last time, Randall, it's really quite a quick turnaround to get everything back up and running again. They've not wasted time, clearly.
Well, they were losing a ton of money while that line was shut down. I didn't put it in the description on Facebook, but I was told they were
I'm going to
losing
jump off stream and catch on what's on YouTube.
Mark, hang on.
I was told they were losing up to $2 billion per day while that line was shut down. I was told
I had
that.
$2
So
billion to lose.
yeah,
I'll say, guys, I'm just going to jump onto YouTube off Streamlabs, so I'll catch you in a second.
All right.
yeah. Like I said at the time, when I posted that on Facebook, I couldn't remember if it was $2 billion a day or $2 billion for the whole time it was shut down. But if I remember right, my supervisor told me it was $2 billion per day was what he was hearing.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's a vital line. Remember that line sees 25 to 30 trains on average.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a single track main line. So
Amazing work by the teams involved.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, Christopher. I've never seen that many people at Thayer, workers at one time in my lifetime. So that even goes back to the track blitz they did back in 1997, 1998, where they shut the line down for 2 weeks and rebuilt the whole line.
Oh wow.
So
Hey, Closet Branch, I'm sorry, I meant to say hi earlier, but we had people
hey, Closet
chatting.
Branch.
I'll be made full screen now. Well, I was going to say the Cassiopeia is basically, for those wondering, is basically like the Twilight Express. It's another Land Cruise service. And actually, Anthony, this is the one where the guy at the show said, "Why have you got that and the other one? They never meet each other. And if you go on a webcam, not right now because the Cassiopeia runs at the weekend, but
Oh,
during the
right.
week you'll see the two together."
Daggone,
Right,
Papa John. That
I
I
remember
think
you
I could.
talking about that. John. There are people, I don't know. I mean, that is something that could go for hours and hours. You could do a 72-hour nonstop live stream and just talk about all the stupid things the know-it-alls will say. No, why are you doing that and that? That never happens in reality. No, and trains of this size don't run in reality either.
Yep.
Towns don't look like this in reality. We try to make it look like reality, but it's not reality.
Absolutely. I think I've come with my new response in person because I mean one of the big ones to get asked is, well, I've got 6 C-62 locomotives. These are 464 express passenger engines, and usually, oh, why have you got so many of those? And I thought, now next time I get that said to me, what I'm going to do is going to say, oh, I'm terribly sorry, I forgot to ask you before spending my money.
It's like yesterday, I'm running a fake American train, a British train, an Austrian train,
Yeah.
and I just picture some of the horrified looks the really prototype people get like those trains should never be run together. Yeah, and you also don't have 11 lanes running next to each other the way six of them running, but 11 lanes across like I do in the one video or on my one during my live stream where I've got 11. You don't see that either, but it's I just like to see my trains running. I'm not worried if they would see each other in real life.
And the Tier 4, and just piggybacking off that, Tier 4's never wore this paint scheme either. This is the Heritage 1 scheme, the first paint scheme for BNSF. This was back when they were known as Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway, and not just BNSF. So,
All right, yes.
Well, when you got a name like that, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, it's the old joke about in Marvel Comics in the movie Shield. Strategic Homeland, that's a mouthful. Yeah, just say Shield.
so this is the prototype scheme they would wear, the correct scheme they would wear. This is the fantasy scheme. So
looks nice still.
Oh yeah, it really wears the scheme really well. I wish BNSF had kind of kept this scheme, to be honest, because I really like it. The main changes they had, where you see the dark green on the Heritage 1 is actually black on this engine. So
right, yeah.
I'm trying to
and
think.
of course they changed the logo and all that sort of jazz. But
besides my ICE3 in the Amtrak color, I'm trying to think what other train do I have that is an actual just fantasy color. I don't think. I think all the other ones existed in reality. My locomotives and trains, they all existed. Well, I should say that I've got one from the Herb collection that he repainted himself in a certain color scheme that did not exist in real life. But other than that, yeah. But to me, there's nothing wrong with a fantasy scheme. If somebody,
I love the fantasy schemes.
Star Wars train. I saw somebody with Merklin made a Star Wars train years ago.
Athearn just announced a run of GP50s in Frisco colors. Now the kicker with that is Frisco actually did order the locomotives. They just never got to. They just never lived to see the day that they got them because they were absorbed by Burlington Northern while they were in production in 1980. But one did show up in Frisco colors, but was given a BN number. It was number 3100 instead of I think it was 750. I think it was. It was supposed to be numbered if it was still a Frisco unit. But yeah, one actually did show up in Frisco colors, but was given a BN number. The rest all came in Cascade green and black, but were built to Frisco specs.
Okay.
So
Closest I've got to a Loco in fantasy colours is that.
so it's kind of a unique situation with that engine. They're not technically a legendary liveries engine in the way we would think of them as.
N scale Thomas the Tank Engine.
Ooh, I like that one.
Except that this engine exists from time to time because this is the one they dress up as Thomas.
You're right. That's right. Japan actually has a Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was a kit I had to build and put on a chassis, but yeah. It's the closest I've got to a fantasy scheme. I've got ones that look like they should be fantasy schemes, like with penguins on and pandas and so on, but they're all real. Just probably wouldn't meet each other.
Now, my bucket list is I want to ride the Canadian across from Toronto to Vancouver. Joyce and I want to do that. And then we want to take an Amtrak cross country, the United States. That's a couple of bucket list train rides we want to do. We are next year. God, it's not that far away, really. Next year, we're going to ride the Caledonian Sleeper in the UK. I remember that one.
Penguins, Thomas Land.
Put that second one back for a second, Chris. Let us get a better look at it, Christopher.
Okay, which one? Penguin or Thomas or both? I'll just bring both.
Oh, you're gonna put them on? Okay. Yeah, the one which I think is in your right hand. So Tommy, yeah, both are Tommy. That one, yep. Because you kind of ran that through the screen real fast. But yeah, that's from Thomas Land, I think, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. The real one on the back to prove it, and then the only other one I've got is this one. She's a bit of a rail safety mascot.
Somebody's not.
I like that one.
And
I like the box. I like the box. It has that kind of anime feel to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very good at theming these.
Speaking of which, Christopher, you probably know about this. The Evangelion Chickenson set that Kato had years ago.
Yes.
That was a neat looking set. I wish I could have got one of those, but
it is beautiful. It's one of the few Chickenson I'd love to have, but the price it goes for these days is scary.
Oh, I looked on eBay and there was one on there, and I think it was well over $1,000 for the set.
So basically, an N-scale version of the Blue Angels aircraft. Good question, Mike. I don't know.
There you go, one with a cow.
That's cool.
It was only meant to be for a brief period, but the locals loved it so much they kept the livery going. I know I've told Anthony about it in the past. There is a Pokemon theme. There's a couple of Pokemon themed trains.
How could there be?
Almost entirely Pikachu themed, inside and out. And I'd love to see a photo of it full of tired commuters.
That'd be cool.
The comparison between all the bright Pikachu stuff and these guys, people just like, I just want to get home. I want my dinner on bed. Yeah, apart from the season train, that's the only one I've got for hand. But this one doesn't get mounting very often, but nothing wrong with it. So you've got.
We're going to be wrapping this up in about 10 minutes, gentlemen. Just sort of a 10-minute warning.
Okay.
Hi. Are you coming back downstairs?
Autumn and winter and spring and summer on that side. But yeah. Yes.
Out the flowers on the wall. They don't follow me.
yeah, it's basically it's how the collection grew, was just buying the ones that made me happy.
All right, good night, Andy 81E. We will see you somewhere on the streams.
Good night, Andy.
You got classes on your secret mission at 1 p.m. Well, if you're talking about it, it's not much of a secret now, is it?
Yeah. I was actually going to tell Christopher the only Kato and scale piece that I had is actually this one, but it's not. It's nowhere near as cool as what Christopher has, but it does represent my childhood pretty good. But there it is, right there. That's a
Hang on. Let's embiggen you.
that is
Oh,
a
that's
Burlington
beautiful.
Northern C30-7.
Yeah, that's
So
beautiful.
this is what I grew up watching when I was a kid. They would have about 5 of these suckers on a cold printer. They would have them mixed in with an SD. They would have them mixed in with their SD40-2s
Yeah.
on coal trains. But yeah, it was quite a sight seeing and hearing these things. I always loved the sound of these locomotives back in the day. But it's such a neat locomotive there.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's good. It needs an air horn, but I'll find something for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I bought that a couple of years ago used at the October display at West Plains. So that was a good find. It runs good too. Of course, it's Kato. They always run good, but
Yeah.
Reminds me
Yeah.
of the
They do tend. And Zantec, yes, I've seen my friend in Japan was treated for her 30th birthday by her parents for a trip on it. So I got to see all sorts of photos inside, and it was it is quite incredible.
yeah, it really is Southern Cross. The BN schemes are nice. I love their final paint scheme, the executive scheme, what they call the Grinstein scheme. Um, that was a really nice paint scheme. They looked awesome when they were brand new
Hi,
back
Steve.
in the day. So that dark green and cream color.
I try to remember because for a couple of years we lived in a house my parents rented, um, and we had a railroad line in the backyard, and there was no fence separating it. We used to run back there all the time with pennies and have them flatten the pennies. And there was also one stupid stunt we did that I shouldn't discuss with children present. That got my butt whooped when my parents found out we did it. But we rolled under the box cars.
Ooh, yeah, that's a dangerous move.
Yeah, but when you're 7, you're not thinking.
Yeah.
Or 7, yeah, I think I was 7 when we did it. A whole bunch of us did it. The train was moving really slow,
Hey, Steve A7th.
and yeah, my parents heard about it, and yeah, I got a hiding. I went
Uh,
into hiding, and then they found me, and I got a hiding. But I just don't remember. I know a lot of Chesapeake and Ohio, I think, went through there. Chesapeake, before it was Chessie System, because again, this is late 60s, early 70s. So I don't know specifically what companies. I think it was still Burlington Northern, and you had Norfolk Southern. I think both came through on that rail. I don't know.
well, it would probably be if it was back in the 70s, it'd probably be more like Norfolk and Western, the predecessor road,
yeah,
Norfolk
yeah, it might have
Southern,
been N and W. Yeah.
because NS didn't form till like I think the mid '80s or something like that. At least
So
the NS we know today is what I meant to say. But
yeah, I mean the companies have bought each other out and
yeah,
been getting so far. I mean, it's like airlines. I mean, you can't even mention airlines now, like
oh
TWA,
yeah.
Pan American. People are like, what? No, they're
See, I
both
had a
cool.
railway work for TWA back many years ago. So
Yeah, Arty is still under orders to stay away from social media. So Artie has to remain in hiding for another week or so, and then he'll be out of witness protection.
Since Southern Cross on the subject of BN, there is one very interesting paint scheme. I have the locomotive, but I can't dig it out right now. It's a one-off test scheme that BNSF put on one of their SD70 Max to promote the BNSF merger. They basically took the BN colors, but did it in the Santa Fe, what was then known as a Super Fleet war bonnet scheme. So it was green and cream, but it was the war bonnet scheme, and it had Burlington Northern Santa Fe spelled out on the long hood, had the what they call the cigar band herald with BNSF on the nose, and trotted out there as a test scheme. It quickly became known as the vomit bonnet. So, because of its colors that it got that was used on it. That was a one-off scheme. Only one engine ever wore it. That was BNSF 9060 or 9647. That was the only locomotive to ever get that scheme. It was never duplicated. And in fact, that engine ended up getting repainted into the scheme that's on the Tier 4 Zevo, the Heritage 3 scheme. And it wore that for the remainder of its career. I have no idea if that engine's even still in service or not, because they pulled their SD70 Max off a lot of their trains now, so I haven't seen one in quite a while. So,
Yep. Yeah, do we really need to know about Arty's kinks? No, but unfortunately, if you talk to Arty long enough, you'll learn all his kinks. The kink in his back, the kink in his shoulder, the kink, yeah.
we're not talking about the band, the Kinks.
No. So, anyhow, I think we have successfully passed another Saturday. I'm hoping, I think Arty is waiting on pins and needles to find out when he can return to his show. I know he's missing it, and besides, he needs the motivation to get his ass back in his train room, because I know he hasn't been in there. And so, Arty, if you're watching this, get your ass back in your train room and start remembering why you love trains. And
Southern Cross Railway's got a question. He said, "Why did they get rid of the SD70 Max?" I don't know that they've gotten rid of all of them, because there's a couple I know there's at least some that's working as a yard power out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but they are being replaced by the ET44 ACHs, which are basically these locomotives, except they have all their axles powered, unlike the C4 variants do. But they're being replaced by the ET44 ACH and the ES44 ACH, what they call the heavies for coal service. And plus, there was some things I heard about those units. They were more difficult to install PTC on them. BNSF rebuilt a handful of them to SD70 Mac E's, and they were planning to do more, but Caterpillar, who now owns EMD, which is now Progress Rail, apparently upped the price on the rebuild program, and BNSF said, "Nah, we're good." And the other thing I heard too is BNSF prefers a long-term lease on their locomotives. So the engines I just showed you, the real ones, BNSF technically doesn't own them outright. They're instead on a very long lease, like a 30 some odd year lease or something like that.
weird.
And they seem to be preferring that over owning the units outright. Now they still have the SD70 Aces, the units inherited from Santa Fe and the various GP
They
units.
get various tax breaks for it. It's something
Yeah.
doing a lot.
And, but there's a lot of factors that goes into why the 70 Max are being pulled. I don't know that all of them are retired, obviously, but It is kind of unfortunate that they're pretty much at the end of their careers now. So much like the Dash Nines are rapidly approaching the end of their lifespan. So
All right. Let me answer this last question, then we got to cut it here. Steve87 said, who's going to Canada in August? If you missed it, Sparky 107 is having a meet and greet in the area between St. Thomas, Cambridge, and Toronto, which, that region of southern Ontario. Steve, Joyce and I are thinking we might be able to come up for the Saturday in St. Thomas. We can't do the weekend because Joyce, that's the weekend Joyce goes back to work. So she's back to work Thursday and Friday, and then I do my live stream. So we would have to leave after my live stream, so we wouldn't get to that area till late at night. And then we will probably stay in the St. Thomas area and meet everybody at the St. Thomas get together, and then hang out with the group with whatever they're going to do the rest of that day. I forget what else Arky said. And then we would get up Sunday morning and come back to Toledo because, again, it's about a 3-hour drive. To go to Toronto on Sunday, we'd love to, but Joyce would have a lot of work she's got to do. It'd be her first day with students that Monday, and there's a lot she wants to do. We have our family get together on Sunday, and it would be a long drive to go to Toronto, run all over Toronto, and then try to drive all the way back to Toledo, which from Toronto can be a 5-hour drive at least. So we'll just do the St. Thomas section and see who we can see on Saturday. But anyhow, on that note, I am going to cut this. We've been going for an hour and 45 minutes, and I've got a grandson I need to chase back into bed.
Anthony, someday he'll be grown up and you'll miss all that.
He's just at the age, once they can talk and they're potty trained, it's awesome because I hate changing diapers. And it makes you feel old too because you're sitting there going, let's see, I changed your mom's diapers, now I'm changing yours, and that's it, I'm done. And payback's going to be a bitch because someday you'll be changing mine. So on that note, I'm going to say thanks to everybody who came up. Mark from Zantec, Randall,
Yep.
Great to see you. Christopher, you stay well. I'll talk to you on your live stream Monday, as well as our usual Wednesday phone call.
Indeed, looking forward to that already.
And Randall, always a pleasure to see and talk to you. And
Yep.
all of you who are in the chat that
Okay.
joined in, thanks for coming out, everybody. So take care, everybody. Good night, and stay safe out there.
See you guys.
Everybody.
Have a good one. See you, Anthony.
See you, Randall. See you,
Have a good one.